Hey guys, some stupid sketch guy here with another prehistoric figure review. This prehistoric figure review I actually was not expecting to make so soon. However, I made two polls, one on Facebook and one on Discord, and the popular vote went towards this figure. So you know what? I will oblige. We will be reviewing today the Primal Attack Massive Biters Tarbosaurus. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as always, the first thing we will be reviewing is the paint job. And the paint job on this figure is one of the best color schemes that Mattel has ever made. Normally, I'm not a fan of gray. However, Mattel managed to apply this gray incredibly well by having the gray be complemented by other colors, such as on the lower jaw. That red is striking and beautiful. It really does help bring out the figure just in a very amazing way. The throw isn't really as well applied, but still is decent enough on its own. However, what also helps make the gray on the figure look good is the other shade of gray that is on this figure. This really dark bluish gray on the back and the stripes that go around the body really do help the figure a lot and make sure that there are plenty of things to look at on this figure. It ain't a monocolor, it's definitely a nice mixture of multiple shades of gray. And honestly, I really like the look. Definitely one of the best paint jobs Mattel has done. And for that, Mattel gets a solid 8 out of 10 on paint job here. Great job. Next up is the posability. Now, the posability on this figure is quite good in my opinion. It's not every day that you have the simple ability to make a figure change from 3 different poses. You can make it go low to the ground if you want it to look down at the ground and drink or bite. You can set it in its neutral pose so that you can just have it in a nice normal pose, and you can make it really stand up with its almighty roar pose, as I call it. These 3 poses honestly cover a lot of really good bare essentials. You can make it look cool by roaring, you can make it go down when it's ready to hunt and bite stuff, and you can have it in a neutral pose just because why not? These 3 poses do all the bare essentials, and they do a great job. They all look great in my opinion, and it's not every day that you see a figure that can simply change from 3 good poses. And for that, I have to give the posability on this figure a 8 out of 10. Third up, we have articulation and action feature. The articulation on this figure, just like the last figure, the Tarbosaurus, is actually quite limited with only a few major things when it comes to articulation. Sure, you can move around the arms, which is I guess a plus, but it isn't really that much of a significant thing. One of the more major things about this figure is the leg articulation. The legs actually are locked in place, and you can't move them individually. This is actually how you create all the poses that you saw earlier through the leg locks. Sure, it does mean that you can't move the legs individually, but I think this is a great feature. Of course, you also have your swivel feet, which in my opinion are far from needed on this figure, but oh well. The main selling point, however, is the action feature. And compared to the Tarbosaurus, this action feature is significantly weaker and lower in quality, mainly due to its closing mechanism. When you close the Tarbosaurus' jaw, it actually locks in place, and you need to open it by twisting its head around. I don't know why they added this. It might have been a defect on mine, and if it was a defect, then in that case, quality control, please. That's definitely something to keep in mind. However, on its own, the lockjaw mechanism definitely is unneeded and just is really annoying sometimes. Like, it just doesn't add anything good to the figure. So yeah, the lockjaw mechanism isn't really that good. You can move around the head, and that's of course cool, but I don't know, I really wish that they'd fixed the closing mechanism, or if it was just a error on mine, you know, some quality control please? The action features and the articulation still do have some good qualities to them, however, there's a lot that can be improved, and for that, I give the articulation and action feature a 7.5 out of 10. And lastly, we have the detail. The detail on this figure is honestly great, especially on the face. The face detail is some of the best detail I have ever seen on any Jurassic Park or Jurassic World figure, in my opinion. There's tons of great things on the face. There's big scales, there's little scales, and there's medium-sized scales. There's scales all over the body, all individually sculpted, and they all look great. They all come together and they just look great, especially on the lower jaw. The red really does help bring out all the little and big scales, and it all comes together to make a really nice and breathtaking face. Although, I wish I could say the same about the rest of the body. The rest of the body doesn't really keep this kind of detail, and instead focuses more on having the figure in general just be really wrinkly. And while that is still acceptable, and the wrinkles are still decently applied and look okay, I kinda wish Mattel actually tried to make the full thing scaly, just like the face. As well as that, the spikes, just like the Sarcosuchus's osteoderms, are very cheap looking and most definitely look quite glued together. Besides the face and spikes, the only other part of the figure that isn't wrinkly is the feet. The feet have really nice, big, exaggerated scales. They look alright, they're pretty darn well applied, they're nice and smooth and just crisp. So that is another really nice detail of this figure. However, it's 80% wrinkles, with a couple really nice high quality boosts in the middle. So for that, I will give the detail on this figure a 7 out of 10. So now time for the overall review. The paint job is very well done. The posability on the figure is very nice and versatile. The action feature and articulation could be better, however they do have their good qualities, and the detail can look really good in some areas. However, in other areas, it's just kinda meh. So, for my final rating, I give the Mattel Primal Attack Tarbosaurus a 7.5 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down other figures I should review in the comments below, and see you guys next time.